Hello everyone, welcome to Unexpected History. Today we're examining the fascinating historical account of Gquma, also known as Bessie, who became a queen of the Mpondo people in the 18th century. This remarkable story is supported by both oral histories and historical documentation, providing us with a unique window into pre-colonial South African society. The South African coastline ranks among the most dangerous in the world, with the Wild Coast being particularly notorious, second only to the Cape of Storms. This treacherous coastline has claimed countless ships since the 1500s due to a deadly combination of factors: the powerful Agulhas current flowing southward, sudden storms, wild winds, heavy seas, freak waves, and hidden rock reefs. All these shipwreck sites are now protected by heritage legislation. The number of castaways along this coast is estimated to be in the thousands. Many perished from starvation or wild animals, while others were integrated into local communities. These survivors, who often married into local families, gave rise to a unique group called the AbeLungu, literally meaning the white people who were tossed up with the surf onto the seashore. Over generations, their descendants became fully integrated into the local population, though some retained unusual physical characteristics like blue eyes, along with certain cultural habits and names. The AbeLungu clan has documented origins from approximately 20 shipwrecks in the area. 3 European castaways, Gquma, Hetu, and Badi, are particularly well documented in both oral and written histories as prominent forebears of the clan. An ivory trader named Hubner, who visited the area in 1736, reported that some European survivors named Miller and Clerk, or Clark, were already living in the vicinity with numerous wives and offspring. Between 1730 and 1750, a significant event occurred near the Lambazo River mouth, approximately 25 kilometers north of what is now Port St. John's. According to historian Reverend Basil Holt and Professor P.R. Kirby's research, there are several accounts of Bessie's arrival. One version states that Mpondo people found her running along the beach, calling out, "Bessie! Bessie!" Another account, by Scully, describes her being found deathly cold but conscious among rocks after locals witnessed a shipwreck the previous day. This second version is considered more historically accurate. The young girl, approximately 7 years old, was taken to the kraal of Gambush. The Mpondo people named her Gquma, in full Ukugquma Kolwandle, meaning the roaring of the sea. They cared for her well, gifting her 3 white cows and all white calves born after her arrival. A chest containing her belongings, including a hairbrush and mirror, reportedly washed ashore. Historical records from her son, Mdepa, explicitly state that she had black hair, not blonde as sometimes incorrectly portrayed, which turned white in her old age. As an adult, Bessie was known for her exceptional beauty. She first married Chief Tshomane, though this marriage was brief and produced no children. After Tshomane's death, she married his relative Sango, also known as Usangu or Xwebisa, defying certain Mpondo laws in the process. With Sango, she had 8 children, though only 5 reached maturity. According to missionary Stephen Kay's records, these 5, in order of birth, were Kai, daughter; Gala, son; Umlawu, son; Dapa and Mdepa, son; and Bess, daughter. As Sango's great wife, Bessie held significant power and influence. Though Sango had 2 other wives, Bessie was acknowledged as the Great Woman, or Queen, by the entire clan. According to historical accounts preserved by Kay, the word of Gquma was a great word, meaning her opinions carried significant weight in tribal matters. She maintained some Western customs, such as brushing her long hair daily, while fully embracing Mpondo traditions. She would later plait her hair and cover it with red clay, which served both aesthetic purposes and as an insect repellent. What makes Gquma's story particularly remarkable is her exceptional leadership abilities. As the Great Wife, she wasn't merely a ceremonial figure, but held substantial administrative and diplomatic responsibilities. According to Kay's records, she was weighty in counsel and deep in feeling. She possessed what contemporaries described as a noble and generous spirit, which earned her the deep love and respect of her people. Her role in governance went far beyond the usual duties of a great wife. She was actively involved in tribal politics and decision-making, with her words carrying such authority that they were calculated to effect great things. This level of influence was unprecedented for women in her time and place. Her political acumen was particularly evident in her handling of diplomatic relations, especially during encounters with European travelers and shipwreck survivors. She received an ancestral praise name upon her death, an honor rarely bestowed upon women in the tribe, reflecting her exceptional status and the deep respect she had earned during her reign. In 1782, about 40 years after Bessie's arrival, the merchant vessel Grosvenor ran aground along the same coast. The ship carried 132 crew members and 18 passengers. Of the 123 survivors who made it to shore, only 18 eventually reached Cape Town. While some sources romantically link Bessie to this wreck, she was already well established as queen when this occurred. The Grosvenor incident provides one of the few contemporary European accounts of the White Queen of the Mpondo. Our knowledge of Bessie comes from several reliable sources. The Van Reenen expedition of 1790 provided contemporary accounts, though they didn't meet Bessie herself, but did encounter her children. Missionary Stephen Kay's book offers valuable information gathered from Bessie's son, Mdepa, and her nephew Mngazana, who cared for her in her final days. Henry Francis Finn's diary also provides insights, though it contains some inconsistencies due to being rewritten from memory after the original was accidentally buried in his brother Frank's grave. The geography of Bessie's life centers around several historically significant locations along the South African coast. While her story begins at Lambazi Bay, she spent most of her life about 10 kilometers south of Port St. John's, more inland. She lived near the Little Umngazi River, which is just a few miles west of the Umzimvubu. This rugged coastline, known as the Wild Coast, would continue to claim ships long after her time, earning its name from its treacherous waters and remote, untamed landscape. Bessie died between 1810 and 1815, when she was approximately 80 years old. While romantic accounts claim she was carried to the reef where she first arrived and pointed across the sea before dying, with a terrible storm arising that night, historical evidence suggests she was more likely buried in her hut, according to Mpondo custom. This version is considered more reliable, as the Mpondo had no tradition of sea burial. The legacy of Gquma extends far beyond her own lifetime, through her numerous descendants, creating a remarkable web of family connections that spans across multiple ethnic and social groups in South Africa. Her bloodline flows through the royal houses of the Mpondo, the prestigious Xhosa royal families, and the noble lineages of the Thembu people. Additionally, her descendants can be found among various Afrikaner families and several colored families throughout the Eastern Cape region, making her a truly unifying ancestral figure in South African genealogy. Bessie's story is particularly significant because it didn't fit the later colonial and apartheid narratives, leading to its suppression. Her successful integration and high status in Mpondo society, along with her mixed-race descendants who connected various royal and notable families, contradicted the racial separation policies of later eras. Her story wasn't widely known until about 200 years after her death, when Hazel Crampton published The Sunburnt Queen in 2004. The story of Bessie/Gquma provides a fascinating window into pre-colonial South African society, demonstrating how cultural integration and acceptance were possible long before the divisions of the colonial and apartheid eras. Her legacy lives on through her numerous descendants and in the complex history of the Wild Coast region, reminding us that the past is rarely as simple as we might assume.
Gquma.